college football is an unpredictable sport, but even so, we can sort of get a feel for things and try and call our shot as best we can. So I want to make sure we do that right now and get some things on paper, get our thoughts on the record here a little bit. There's a couple of predictions I want to make before/through spring football. So I'm going to label these spring football predictions. These are not just for spring camp. I think there's a lot of movement that could be on the horizon here sooner rather than later. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. College football's predictions for the spring season, more or less. A lot going on, a lot to unpack. One of the first predictions I want to make is that Georgia's offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, will leave for an NFL coaching job, likely an OC job. Here's what it comes down to for me. To quote Robert California from The Office, does Todd Monken strike you as a man who would waste his own time? Is he just dating today? Is he just interviewing with these NFL teams to test the waters a little bit and see what's out there? From what it sounds like to people that are close to the Georgia program have told me that his professional dream, his last professional goal that's left unchecked is to be an NFL head coach. That is the goal. Being an NFL OC is the path to that goal. And it's hard to blame him. What else is left to be done at Georgia? It's a pretty great stopping point. You've won back-to-back national titles. Is there a lot further up that mountain you want to climb? I don't know if being a Power 5 head coach is something that appeals to him, because it seems like the NFL has his attention right now. So for me, I think Todd Monken will eventually take an NFL job before we get through the whole spring football season. Really quickly, if you have not yet subscribed, would love to have you all a part of this community. We appreciate y'all for helping build this thing in the short amount of time that you have. I truly believe the best is yet to come. So would love to have you subscribe, would love to have you a part of this. Also, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JDPikel. Keep up with me there. A lot of things that we do on those platforms that we then incorporate back into this operation. My next prediction: Nick Saban gets Jeremy Pruitt to be his next defensive coordinator at Alabama. Here's the reality. When something goes wrong, when something's not working just right, what do? Sort of retrace your steps. You go back to what has worked. Jeremy Pruitt, in his 2 seasons where he was the DC at Alabama, a lot of success. Was a part of a national title run there. Was a part of a defense that led the country in scoring defense. Jeremy Pruitt and Nick Saban can work together well. And there's a lot of conversation and a lot of rebuttal to this saying, well, the NCAA this, the NCAA that, his time at Tennessee, and is it going to happen? When was the last time Nick Saban didn't get what he wanted? I mean, genuinely, when was the last time that happened? And I'm treading lightly here, but if it comes down to a matter of, is he allowed to coach Alabama? The way that I understand it is the SEC leaves that sort of decision to the school to decide on. That was the way it went with Hugh Freeze. It might be a little bit different with Jeremy Pruitt and his situation from Tennessee, but that's my understanding. All of that aside, what it comes down to, Nick Saban, if he wants something, I don't remember the last time the GOAT didn't get it. So Jeremy Pruitt, from everything I've heard, is the number one candidate for that job. We'll see as this plays out, but I truly believe he will eventually be the next DC in Tuscaloosa. I also believe that Auburn is going to go to the transfer portal. When that thing opens back up, they're going to add a transfer quarterback. Here's why. Grayson McCall, for a minute, looked like he might be the next quarterback at Auburn. Auburn was in the portal and they were courting him as potentially going to be their starter next year for whatever reason, and it didn't happen. Here's my takeaway. Auburn already told us how they feel about the quarterback room. They already told us how they feel they want to at least add to that room. Whether they're happy with Robbie Ashford as the starter or not, sounds like they are. Sounds like they're going to go with him day one. But what they would have in-house if TJ Finley is to transfer post-spring, like a lot of us expect him to, you would have a redshirt freshman in Holden Griner, and you would have a true freshman in Hank Brown. The way that I'm looking at this, you would, if you don't go to the portal, put all of your chips on Robbie Ashford. Now, Robbie Ashford is a tremendous talent, has a ton of ability, but is he someone you want to mortgage your 2023 on? Do you really want to fine-tune this car via the portal like you have, number 4 portal class right now, at time of us being live? Do you want to fine-tune the car and then only have one experienced driver in-house in Robbie Ashford? If nothing else, I think Hugh Freeze is going to want to add depth and add competition to this room to push Robbie Ashford and to push these other two freshmen. So that's the way that I see that going. I really believe that when the portal opens back up, after spring practice, you will see Auburn go and add some sort of piece at the quarterback position to push that room and add just a little bit of competition to Robbie Ashford's race for that quarterback 1 spot. I still believe it'll be Robbie Ashford's job, but if nothing else, it'll be depth and a competition play for the Auburn Tigers. Last prediction for you. I think we see Scott Frost get back into college football. Listen, anytime you fail at something, it takes a second, right? You have to lick your wounds, have to reassess. Truthfully, you kind of have to mourn for a little bit. That's healthy. I understand that. I think that's what Scott Frost has done. But depending on your failure, you want to get that taste out of your mouth, especially in Scott Frost's position. Very publicly swung and missed at what was his dream job, was the head coach of his alma mater. He'd been working for that the entirety of his professional life to get back to Nebraska, to be the head coach, to bring them back to prominence. It didn't happen. So with a failure of that magnitude, I think Scott Frost is saying, okay, let's get back on the horse here. Doesn't matter what it looks like, but I want to get back to this thing. I want to get back to coaching. I want to get back to doing what I do, get back to my roots. Now, a couple different ways that could look. It could be the Miami OC job on the most successful end of this return, or it could be an analyst job. To call a spade, I think Scott Frost taking a Bama analyst spot would be phenomenal. Go ahead and get the Nick Saban baptism real quick. You're good to go, rehabilitated into college football. So all that's to say, I don't think we have a whole nother year, a whole nother season rather, where Scott Frost isn't at some sort of college football program in some sort of capacity. You want to wash that taste out of your mouth of what didn't happen at Nebraska. So to recap it for you, Todd Monken, don't think he's a guy that will waste his own time. I think if he's interviewing with the NFL, he is legitimately looking for an NFL job. Nick Saban gets what he wants, man. A lot of conversation around Jeremy Pruitt this, Jeremy Pruitt that. Can he, will he, should he? Jeremy Pruitt, it sounds like, is his top choice. Nick Saban gets what he wants. The Auburn quarterback room will add another piece post-spring practice. You're fine-tuning the car. I don't believe you're going to go into the season with one experienced driver in Robbie Ashford. Do you bring in somebody to start over Robbie Ashford? I don't think so. But even so, you add depth and you add somebody to help push that room. And lastly, we see Scott Frost back in college football. It hurts to fail, but I think he's going to get back on the horse and wash that taste of failure out of his mouth. So we're calling our shot. Comment below, get in the live chat. Let me know, what is your prediction for springtime in college football? It's a beautiful game that keeps on giving. We'll keep you covered here. So we appreciate y'all locking in with us on that. Excited to hear y'all's predictions. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.